Namaste and welcome everybody. In this session, we are gonna discuss about the current affairs and their utility and the problem which is there in the market of UPSC regarding the current affairs. People are going mad. Institutes are going crazy over current affairs. Every other day, a new guy come up with his own channel. Every new institute come up with their own series of the current affairs for the UPSC, targeting the prelims and mains both at the in the same video, or targeting both separately as only IS does. So I'm not like calling any specific institute out there. I'm just against the this method of of watching the discussions, because personally I feel that this of no utility, not much utility. For that reason, even if you are exceeding 1 hour for the newspaper, then I think that it is of not much use. So practically speaking, there empirically speaking, in this video I'll take you through the question paper that I solved in my 2023. And this was the third time I cleared the GS cutoff, and I've written the mains awaiting the result of it. And in the meanwhile, I thought that why not to bust some myths regarding CSE, which are there in the minds of the people. So they give a disproportionate time, disproportionate importance to the current affair. The whole strategy is just garbage. When you see so many likes, so many views coming there on these discussions, and then I do not feel good. I think something is terribly wrong with the candidates. They do not have the right guidance. The sheer fact that mm, so many people, like 10 lakh people, apply for the exam. Out of those, 8 lakh appear in the examination, and only barely 10k make it to the prelims. It forces us to understand, like, what different are they doing, why did it make it to the mains, and why the other people couldn't. So this needs a serious introspection, analysis and examination of your strategy. So what I am doing is currently giving you some advice, sharing you my experience, some harsh truth and reality, which only some people who are the toppers, or the one of the toppers gonna be toppers, they are aware of, while it is kept away from the common aspirants and candidates, deliberately by the coaching industries who have got their own vested interests, by the youtubers who have got their own vested interests. It's just that they want to create the content, they want to create the videos, they want to earn on your money, on your time which you are wasting in watching these videos. Okay. So this is the paper with us today. We If you guys are interested, if the time permit, can listen patiently. If you can listen patiently, then we'll discuss this paper, not discuss the entire paper. We just look at the words and point out that what questions are the ones specifically from the current affairs, so as to know that how much is the utility of current affairs, how much is the weightage of the current affairs in the paper, in the actual examination. Mind you guys, the cutoff is 90, below 90 or around 90, has been hovering around 90, and has been consistently and steadily going down with each passing year, right? But is the share or the proportion of current affairs proportionately going up? Is it so? No. Just 1 year, it was 2016, it was a bad year. It was good for some people who had mugged up a Vision magazine, when we had the questions from the current affairs in bulk, in large quantity, like around a whole paper almost was composed of current affairs. More than 50 to 60 questions were there from current affairs. Apart from that, after that, like in the subsequent years, we can see that not more than 15 to 20 questions are there which are exclusively from the current affairs. So here I have taken the paper of 2022. This is not what I solved recently. It was there on the device, and I solved it while I was to appear in the 2023. Later on in this series of busting the myths and exposing the coaching industries and the narrative they have woven there, and we would be coming up with more such videos, like exposing the test series and all. But today in this video we will be focusing solely on the current affairs, right? So my exposition personally is that key if you are reading the newspaper, then you should not give it more than 30 minutes. If you are a novice, if you are a greenhorn, then you can give it 1 hour. And considering the fact that you come from an English medium background, you should not have the trouble in understanding the newspaper. You should not give it more than 1 hour. Why is it so? Because there are coaching institutes who are already putting great effort in coming out with the tailored current affairs designed specifically for the examination. Then why to read the newspaper? This is a basic thing. But I'm not completely saying that you should not read the newspaper. There are two school of thoughts. One which says that just a second. There are two school of thoughts. The one which says that you should not read the newspaper. Do I support them? No, I do not. Why is it so? Because I think that every person, every citizen, common man or woman, common person, to not be sexist in the language, everybody should read the newspaper, should be aware of what's happening around, what's happening in the country, nation, and in the global scenario. So we should read the newspaper. Now, how much? It should not exceed 30 minutes. Ideally, if you are passionate, then yeah, you can stretch it to 1 hour. If you have such an optional which has a huge share of current affairs like political science or something like that, then you can stretch it to 1.30 minutes. Have there been people who didn't read the newspaper and still clear the prelims? Yes, there have been the people. Now, second set of school which believes that yeah, we should read the newspaper, and how much, like we should give 2 hours to the newspaper. If you are making a video of let us look at it. I cannot use the pencil here. Let us look at the icon of this famous coaching institute. I'm not against any coaching institute. It is releasing a video of 1 hour and 15 minutes. So if 1 hour and 15 minutes is only the discussion, and the person will also look at the newspaper, because a newspaper consists of 80 news out of 80, at least 25 will be of some relevance. And here in the discussion, you are coming up with only 5 news. Okay, so nothing could be a replacement for a newspaper. So anyways we'll have to go to the newspaper as well. So considering the fact that 40 minutes somebody would spend there, then 2 hours are going in something which does not have a great utility. It is all about the cost benefit analysis. If you do it like the input output ratio, then it will tell you that the efforts which you are putting in current affairs, they are not going to pay you rich dividends. Why? Because the share of the newspaper, the sample which is there is very vast. Everything, anything under the sun is covered under the current affairs. On the other hand, you have got the static, and static has got the separate disciplines like modern history, medieval, ancient. You have got your polity. In the polity, things are fixed, like questions would be asked from FR, questions will be asked from DPSP. Okay, in the history, things are very much repeated. You have got 27-year Disha PYQ. You should read them. So instead of all this, you are going to the newspaper. What if 1 hour? Just do some kind of case study or a research, or assume it. If you cannot do it, if we cannot do it, just assume it. It is kind of a human experiment, in psychology, like we do. Assume it, hypothetically speaking, there are two people of same caliber or competence who are targeting UPSC CSE 2024. One of them spends 2 hours in the newspaper, and another one, what he or she does besides other studies, beside the time which he or she is devoting to the other areas, what he or she does, he reads the newspaper just for 15 minutes. Just look at the glance with a bird's eye view, right, at the newspaper, like what's happening in the world. If there is Russia-Ukraine war, then you should be aware of it, right? And rest of the time he or she gives to revise the things, making notes and then revising them. Now, who would be at a better position in the D-Day, in the actual prelims examination day? Of course, the one who didn't spend the time in the newspaper or in the current affairs and prepared the static, because 70 to 80% paper directly comes from the static. This is a fact. Nobody will tell you. Now, why This is the nature of the examination. The problem is that people are excessively focusing on the newspaper or current affairs. The nature of the examination is static, as simple as that. Now, why they are doing that? Because they are exposed to the current affairs content in heavy quantities. By whom? By the coaching media, and the youtubers, the educators which are coming there, right? Now, what is the way forward? Way forward is simply pick up the newspaper every day, read it every day. I'm not a advocate of completely relinquishing the newspaper. What I'm saying is that give it 15 to 20 minutes if you are a pro, if you are an expert. If you are a common person, give it 30 minutes. If you are passionate and enthusiastic about reading the newspaper, like if you have got interest in news reporting, reading out the editorials and really enjoying the newspaper, some people really do it, then you can read 1 hour. I was a kind of person who fall in category 3. Back when I was in school, I had started reading the newspaper, and it was an English newspaper. And during the duration of my graduation also, I used to read the newspaper, but I really see no utility of it, frankly speaking. Having been into the CSE for a long time, having got a lot of experience with the friends coming from diverse backgrounds, and grabbing the high positions in the CSE list, been exposed to the process, very closely observed it. On this basis, on the basis of the robust research which I have done, I am making these conclusive opinions. Okay, so I'm the person who you can believe. Now, coming back here, changing the pen to the highlighter, and we are gonna just mark the questions which are exclusively current affairs, right? Rapid financing instruments and rapid credit facility is from the economy portion you will get in Shankar IS, so it is a static, right? Need and read is again a static concepts from the economy, right? RBI ka jo hai is totally static thing, right? G20 common framework is a current affairs question. Inflation indexed bond, again a static economy thing. Foreign on e-commerce firms, they can sell their, this is again a current affair question. Indirect transfers, again a current affair questions. Real sector कौन से इनमें से? Static. Which are the following expenditure made by the static? Data securities is static. Constitution of India empowers the Supreme Court or a constitution or defines civil contempt and criminal contempt. Static. Sometimes what happens that there are 4 to 5 statements which are given, but based on the knowledge of 1 to 2 statements with a sense of certainty and confidence, you can reach to the answer. So we would consider these questions as static, and we have come to the bar councils. Now this is again a static question from the polity. Constitutional amendment bill, again constitution is static. Constitution of India classifies as static. एंटी डिफेक्शन लो हर बार पूछा जाता है, एवरी सेकंड ईयर इट अपीयर्स स्टैटिक. एक्सक्लूसिव पावर ऑफ द लोक सभा, वेरी वेरी स्टैटिक. These all are the questions which are coming directly from the Lakshmikant, and these are the questions you guys won't be able to get them correct, get all of them correct. Shame, and you are going crazy over the current affairs. This is what hurts me. What we call the silly mistakes. These are the questions in which we sometimes mess up. We commit the silly mistakes and which we'll have to pay. And current affairs, no matter how comprehensively or how in a detailed manner you have read them, they are not gonna compensate for the wrongs which you commit in your static. Attorney General completely static, writs completely static. Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. If this is not a current affair, this is a logic based question, purely logic based, right? Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, completely static. Static from the environment, static from the environment and agriculture, static from the map and atlas, static from the river. Rivers are favorite of UPSC, right? स्टैटिक फ्रॉम द एटलस, लेवांट स्टैटिक फ्रॉम द आपका जो जीसी लियोंग का बुक है, भगवा कलर का उसका कवर है, उसमें ये जो है लेवांट दिया हुआ है, मेडिटेरेनियन कहीं दिया हुआ है ना, लॉजिक से भी हो सकता था ये। अगेन दिस इज स्टैटिक। मोनोसाइट ऑकर्स इन द इंटायर, static. See guys, if the question is not completely static, then it can be solved merely on the basis of the logic, sheer logic, gut feeling, intuition and common sense, है ना. So we will not consider those questions as current affairs here, right? Static. किसको नहीं मालूम वेटलैंड पे क्वेश्चन आएगा, हमेशा आता है स्टैटिक. वेब 3.0 साइंस एंड टेक पढ़ेंगे तो आप मिल जाएगा, स्टैटिक है वहाँ पर. ओपन सोर्स डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म्स, स्टैटिक है. चलो इसे करंट मान लेते हैं अपन, ठीक है. लो करंट मान लिया. सॉफ्टवेयर एज ए सर्विस, वैसे तो ये स्टैटिक आएगा, इसे भी करंट मान लेते हैं, ठीक है. फ्रैक्शनल ऑर्बिटल बॉम्बार्डमेंट सिस्टम, गाइज ये साइंस एंड टेक करेंगे ना तो उसमें ये आपको चीज़ें मिल जाएंगी, है ना. नहीं मिलती तो ये तो वैसे ही लॉजिक से होगा, राइट. सो वी कैन नॉट काउंट ऑल ऑफ देम इनटू दी कैटेगरी ऑफ करंट अफेयर्स, क्योंकि साइंस एंड टेक जो है मोस्टली करंट अफेयर से ही आता है. यूपीएससी वो जो केमिस्ट्री फिजिक्स बायोलॉजी वाली +2 वाली साइंस तो पूछता नहीं है, राइट. सो 10 क्वेश्चन तो आएंगे यहाँ साइंस एंड टेक से. वी कैन नॉट पुट ऑल ऑफ देम इनटू दी करंट अफेयर्स, बिकॉज साइंस एंड टेक का जो है अपने आप में एक डिसिप्लिन है ना. और उसका जो करंट कंटेम्प्रेरी चल रहा है, करंट चल रहा है, वही उसका स्टैटिक है. This is pretty much like government of India is saying that now just because there is no constituent assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, so जो उसकी responsibilities और powers थी, those would be exercised by the present legislative assembly of the Jammu and Kashmir. और अब वो तो हैंग है, assembly जो है dissolve हो गई है, and there is governor's rule or president's rule. Now all the powers would be shifted to the governor and we can abrogate 370. Which one of the following is the context of qubit? तो completely static है. Short range device static. Biofilms can exhibit. गाइज ऐसा नहीं होगा. अगर आपने ये हिंदू में पढ़ा भी होगा ना, आप 1 घंटे का डेली हिंदू पढ़ रहे हो, 10 जगह से पढ़ लो, तो भी आपको ना 90 दिन बाद 180 दिन बाद याद नहीं रहेगा कि बायोफिल्म क्या होता है ना. दिस इज़ शेयर साइकोलॉजी, दिस इज शेयर मेंटल साइंस. आपके दिमाग में चीज़ें तब तक याद नहीं रहेंगी जब तक आप उन्हें 5 बार रिवाइज नहीं कर लेते, है ना. आप खुद बताइए, आपने लक्ष्मीकांत एंड स्पेक्ट्रम यू मस्ट हैव रिवाइज्ड देम मल्टीपल टाइम्स, बट स्टिल यू मेक सिली मिस्टेक्स इन देम. सो व्हाई डू यू थिंक दैट अ कॉन्सेप्ट लाइक बायोफिल्म्स और समथिंग वेरी वेरी न्यू in the market, in the developments of science and tech, which you read just once or twice, will be there in your mind when you sit in the examination. तो ऐसा कोई भी बंदा नहीं होगा who would be like, oh I read in the newspaper, I read in the Hindu about biofilms, है ना, तो ये तो मेरे को आता है, किसी को नहीं आता. No, it would not be like that in the examination. Those who will get this question correct, they would get it correct based on what? Based on logic. Consider the following standards for probiotics. वेरी वेरी स्टैटिक. कोविड-19 का ये कंटेम्प्रेरी था, स्टैटिक बन गया. सोलर स्टॉर्म इज स्टैटिक. क्लाइमेट एक्शन ट्रैकर, दिस इज करंट अफेयर. क्लाइमेट, दिस इज करंट अफेयर. लंग ऑफ द किडनी स्टैटिक. WHO quality guidelines. See, another important thing which I'm gonna tell you is that please pay attention. Like, you are very fortunate if you have watched this video till now. Now what I'm going to tell you with proof will just shock you, will open your eyes. See, let me change the pencil. Yeah, so here we have got static, on the other side we have got current. The questions which will come from the current which will fall under the category of current affairs will not be easy to solve, no matter how much time you have devoted to your current affairs, because it is infinite. There are no contours or boundaries set. On the other hand, the questions which will come from your static, you must have seen them in the beginning of this session, just when we were at the initial 10 to 20 questions. They were from the polity. and they were very easy. They were from the parliament, they were from judiciary and the legislature. And what people do generally is that they get the questions from this category incorrect. यहीं खेल हो जाता है पूरा. If you are gonna get these questions incorrect, then you fail miserably, because this section, no matter how much time you have devoted to this section, will compensate this. Your current affairs is not gonna compensate your static. If you have good knowledge of static, if you have a good hold of static, then static can compensate your current, because current most of the time is solved not on the basis of the knowledge which you have, mind my words and mark them. Current is often solved based on the logic. This is something which was very very important. Who do you think, like how many people do you think would be aware of this term climate action tracker? कि मैंने ना द हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर में, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में ना 5 नवंबर को ये वाला कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ा था क्लाइमेट एक्शन ट्रैकर का. डू यू थिंक देयर वुड बी सच पर्सन? You know, I mean, at least 50 to 60 terms would appear in the Vision magazine. If you pick a compilation environment का, it would be like 120 pages, और उसके अंदर ऐसी कितनी ही terms आएंगी climate action tracker जैसी. Would it be easy to remember? No, it won't be easy to remember. How will you gonna solve it? Based on the logic, based on the gut feeling. And on the logic, you'll get at least 60% of the questions correct on the basis of gut feeling and intuition, which is again based in the elimination method, in the knowledge, in the prior existing knowledge, the hunch which you get. You will get at least 40% of the questions correct. Or considering the fact that only 33% is the negative marking, 1/3 is the negative marking, so you will get the questions in net positive finally. I mean, it would only benefit you if there are 10 questions and you are marking like 8 of them based on the gut feeling. 4 of them come out to be correct, and 4 of them you get them incorrect. Then the net result would be in positive. So learn to take the risk. This is another aspect of the CSE. Sorry to deviate from the topic. Things are not in black and white here. There is a large amount of gray area which is operating here, and which is captured by the gut feeling, confidence, courage. If you have to take the risk, if you are not taking risk, you are taking a big risk. This is all what sums up the UPSC. With reference to Gucci, now do you really remember if you had read entire article about Gucci, if you had done the PhD on Gucci, like on Hindu, suppose on the day of Saturday or Sunday, there comes a huge article on this plant only on the right hand side of the Hindu editorial, and you read it full. Do you really feel that after 1 year or after like 2 to 3 months you are gonna remember such minute details, like it is what, a fungus or something else, and where does it grow? No, these questions fall in the category of those either where you can take risk eliminating one or two, or which you need to leave. Moving forward, polyethylene terephthalate. Polyethylene terephthalate. Polyethylene terephthalate. Polyethylene terephthalate. Its fibers, containers made up of it, can be used to store any alcoholic beverages. यही गलत हो गया ये. Now, why should I count them in current affairs? Do I need to read the current affairs so as to get this question correct, when I know that what is written here is containers made of it can be used to store any alcoholic beverage? If you're a person who have if not tasted the alcohol, not used to alcohol, then at least heard about the alcohol, watched some movies and web series out there, have watched other TV programs, and have heard the people talking about alcohol, where it is stored. You must be aware that alcohol is something which cannot be stored anywhere and everywhere, just like the pickles cannot be stored anywhere. So these are sheer logic which we'll have to apply. I cannot put them in the category of current affairs. You don't need to read the current affairs for them. Which of the following is not a word? Again, a static concept. nitrogen fixing plants, totally static. Biorock technology, coral reef. This is current affairs, but this can be solved using the logic, Miyawaki method. This was current affairs once upon a time, like way back 3 years ago, but this was pretty much a news, frequently news, and this has almost this had become a static from the current affairs, but still we would count it in the current affairs only. Okay. This is purely static. Funam is static. Barendra Kumar is static. Static. हिस्ट्री से तो देर इज़ नो स्कोप ऑफ करंट अफेयर्स, नो. हिस्ट्री से तो सब कुछ ही स्टैटिक आता है. Still, you have got the institutes publishing 50-page long document on the history and art and culture. क्यों? क्योंकि उन्हें बेचना है, उन्हें क्लास निकालनी है अपनी जो 365 है और डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं उन पर. So they'll have to do it, but you will have to be cautious and prudent, right? First Mongol history से क्या होता है? Now let me tell you a big revelation, a big disclosure. हिस्ट्री में क्या होता है ना, मोस्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स वुड कम फ्रॉम दिस 30-page document in Lucent. Lucent is a book. It is an amazing book for those who are aspiring for Group B, Group C services, even for the state services. And Lucent में it contains everything, every subject. Starting में ही जो है 40 pages are dedicated to the ancient and medieval history. उसके जो शुरू के 20 पेज are dedicated to ancient history. जो भी questions आते हैं उससे ही आते हैं, NCERT से भी आते हैं very rarely, but most of the questions would come from your Lucent. Another thing is that now these are some hacks which are not there in the market. Why are they not there in the market? Because if students get to know about कि यार Lucent 100 रुपये की बुक आती है, पूरी बुक ही नहीं लेना, बस 20-40 पन्ने आप उसके फ़ोटो भी ले लो यदि किसी से और पढ़ लो, then you will get most of the questions correct. Then why would they spend money on the coaching industries, on the coaching institutes? Why would they spend lakh of rupees on them and run after the notes which they are providing if you can get most of the questions in films correct reading the Lucent, right? So there was a topper, the Ayushi Jain. She told me about the Lucent. Even for once, like I laughed inside on the suggestion given by her, but then I made the analysis of the question papers. Then I realized that yeah, literally many times the questions can be easily answered from the Lucent, as if the question setter, he deliberately puts the questions from the Lucent, maybe to help the people coming from the lower class or the backward regions. Well, whatever could be the logic behind, but this is the factor. Some other day we would take the Lucent and make a video on it. Now one is the Lucent. Another thing is the PYQs. If you do the 27 year PYQs of Disha and do the explanations as well, then you will be able to answer most of the questions in the history section, right? कुछ वो ही नहीं है, लोड ही नहीं है अपना करंट अफेयर्स का हिस्ट्री में. This is static. History is all static. Tight monetary policy is static. Static from your NCERT, or it is disputed, right? RBI and ICRA is static. Shankar में दिया हुआ है इकोनॉमी में. Governor of RBI is static. Convertible bonds, debentures, these are all static. Multiple अपना multilateral institutions finances वाले static. ये अपना can be solved through the basic knowledge. ये भी static है अपना. Price stability, the function of RBI. Some questions are directly repeated or lifted from the past year UPSC papers, like verbatim. NFT is also static from the science and tech section. ये वाला अपना reservoir is purely static question. Vietnam वाले question में these questions are very intimidating on the face, superficially, but actually they are the questions which are the most easy ones, which can be solved in a very easy way, right? वियतनाम की हिस्ट्री पढ़ी हो आपने तो आपको मालूम होगा कि वियतनाम इज लेड बाय अ मल्टी पार्टी पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम. रॉन्ग, राइट? नाउ वियतनाम इज द मोस्ट प्रोडक्टिव ई सर्विस सेक्टर इन इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन. अब इंडो पैसिफिक आप ये मैप बनाओ ये भारत का, और ये अपना जो है यहाँ यूएस आ जाएगा, ये पूरा अपना इंडियन ओशन है, पैसिफिक ओशन है. आपको लगता है वियतनाम वुड बी द कंट्री विद द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट ई कॉमर्स सर्विसेज? नो. बहुत अच्छी कंट्रीज़ हैं, और भी कंट्रीज़ हैं, राइट? सच लॉजिक शुड बी अप्लाइड देयर, नॉट दैट आपका जो करंट अफेयर्स आप 1 घंटे 2 घंटे डेली सुन रहे हो, या जो अपनी बड़ी मैगजीन्स पढ़ रहे हो ऑन द मंथली और एनुअल बेसिस विल कम to your help. Static static call controller organization. Now it might be categorized as a current question, बट अगेन इट वुड बी बेस्ड ऑन दी बेसिस ऑफ लॉजिक, है ना. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि किसी ने करंट अफेयर्स में ये पढ़ा हो, विजन ने ये चारों स्टेटमेंट उसमें दे रखे थे, है ना, और उसके बेसिस पे वो ये क्वेश्चन निकाल लेगा. ऐसा नहीं होगा. इसमें आप जो फोर्थ स्टेटमेंट है उसे पढ़ेंगे तो लॉजिक के बेसिस पे एलिमिनेट करके आप आंसर तक पहुंच सकते हैं. फिफ्थ सिक्स स्केड्यूल इज़ वेरी स्टैटिक क्वेश्चन, इंडियन सैनिटेशन काउंसिल. अब ये क्वेश्चन जो है इज़ नॉट स्टैटिक. सो डज इट फॉल इन करंट अफेयर्स? ऑफ कोर्स इट शुड. But the bigger question again is the same, ki will you get this question in your magazine or in the newspaper which you are reading? If at all you get it there, you get it there, will you remember it? Will you remember all of the things which the exam jo paper setter hai, who is the paper setter, he is putting here? Will you able to answer all of the questions, all of the points? The basic logic remains that जो आपके दो क्वेश्चंस हैं वेरी साइंटिफिकली एंड टेक्निकली डिवाइडिंग द पेपर इन टू सेट्स. वन इज़ योर स्टैटिक, सेकंड इज़ योर करंट अफेयर्स. करंट अफेयर्स के अंदर जो पर्सन है, वन हु इज़ द पेपर सेटर, कैन पिक द क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम एवरीवेयर. क्वेश्चंस कैन फॉल इनटू दिस कैटेगरी फ्रॉम एनीवेयर एंड एवरीवेयर अंडर द सन. कोई सी भी साइट पे जाके उठा लेगा वो. उसने चॉकलेट खाई, किटकैट, उसे उस पर कुछ दिखा वो बना देगा. उसने कोई फंक्शन अटेंड करा वो बना देगा. वो रोड पे गाड़ी चला रहा है, कार से बाहर देखा तो वो गीता अपना जो है गति शक्ति का वो देखा, उसने गति शक्ति पे क्वेश्चन बना दिया, है ना. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि हिंदू और इंडियन एक्सप्रेस उसे उसके लिए पढ़ना रहे या कोई अदर न्यूज़पेपर मैगजीन और बुक पढ़नी पड़े. बट स्टैटिक में जो क्वेश्चन रहेंगे ना वो आपके लक्ष्मीकांत से ही आएंगे. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो लक्ष्मीकांत पढ़ के बना रहा है, बट द थिंग इज़ कि लक्ष्मीकांत इट सेल्फ इज़ अ वेरी कॉम्प्रहेंसिव बुक. वो एटलीस्ट थीम्स तो सेम ही पिक करेगा ना. जैसे कि अपना DPSP है, अपना प्रियाम्बल है, अपना फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज़ है, गवर्नर है, अपना प्रेसिडेंट है, जुडिशरी है, अपना रेगुलेटरी बॉडीज़ हैं जो आ रही हैं लगातार, अपना जो है एक्ट है, डिफेक्शन एंटी डिफेक्शन लॉ है, अपनी रेट्स हैं, अब उसके बाद इसकी पावर्स हैं, लोकसभा राज्यसभा की उसका कंपैरिजन है. दीज आर दी रिपीटेड थीम्स, है ना. सेम गोज़ इन द मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री. इसमें है ना जो वो है अपने पास अपना टोटल सैम्पल, यहाँ से अपन को क्वेश्चन पिक करने, वो फिक्स्ड है और वो आपको भी मालूम है. So what would be intelligent thing? An intelligent approach would be to give a large portion of your time, your efforts to the static, to the revision of the static, making notes of the static, solving questions, learning the way how to answer them, developing that gut feeling, logic, elimination methods and techniques, rather than wasting your time in the current affairs, है ना. There would be no use if you cannot clear the prelims with all the current affairs notes which you are ready with, which you have prepared, right? Describe the polar code. Now it is a question which is based in current affairs and which I think can be left. But if you go on reading the reading the option, in just one option it is saying it is an international code. In no other option it is saying that ki ये एक कोड है. other are saying that it is an agreement, some are saying that it is a norm. In the third one you see it is an agreement, है ना. When the question itself is saying that it is a code, then it is highly likely to be a code. This is the one thing. And another thing is that after doing some meta analysis I have come to know that please wait for some time only. Mostly in 80% of the questions with the direct option like ABCD options है जिनका इस फॉर्मेट में नहीं है, इस फॉर्मेट में है ना. 70 to 80% of the time the answer would be A. This is some meta analysis which has done by various people, researchers, है ना, on a large scale. They observe the question, the psychology of the question setter. बहुत empirical exercise करने के बाद इस conclusion पे हम पहुँचे and you can take the risk. अब ऐसा नहीं है कि just merely on the basis of this logic we are marking A. If I were there I would definitely mark it, no matter I knew about it or not. Why? Because one thing is that कि कोड वाला जो है अकेला फर्स्ट वाले में, A वाले में. सेकेंड थिंग, बैक इन द माइंड आई नो दैट कि A इज़ हाईली लाइकली टू बी द आंसर इन सच क्वेश्चंस. फिर उसके बाद A के बाद पॉसिबिलिटी आपकी D की रहती है, राइट. C की बहुत कम रहती है, देन B की रहती है ना. दीज आर सम मेटा एनालिसिस ट्रिक्स which are there in the market, few people are aware of, and they apply it with the risk component, और रिजल्ट जो है नेट पॉजिटिव में ही आता है, एज आई टोल्ड यू. UNGA is a very static question. T-board is a static question. लास्ट ईयर इस पे मतलब प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन है ये T-board वाला. ग्रीन वॉशिंग इज़ अ क्वेश्चन विच इज़ फ्रॉम द करंट अफेयर्स, बट इज़ मतलब ऐसा कुछ होना कि अगर मेरे को कोई क्वेश्चन आए कि वाइट वॉशिंग क्या होता है, तो आई डोंट नीड टू रीड एनीथिंग फॉर वाइट वॉशिंग. द वर्ड इटसेल्फ वुड से दैट व्हाट इज वाइट वॉशिंग. It is self-explanatory, right? In the similar sense, this greenwashing is also similarly, self-explanatory. High clouds, geography se static. Now, these were the questions which were from the current affairs. But do you think that you would be able to answer them just because you were meticulously, tenaciously reading the newspaper? No, because very, very meticulous details were asked in the question. I don't think that even the newspaper of the concerned city like Kenya would have covered these things in so much detail, है ना. तो हिंदू तो क्या ही करेगा, हिंदू और एक्सप्रेस. This is completely static. Now this is a current affair based question, but it can be answered based on the logic. गोवा में कैसे हो जाएगा largest floating solar photovoltaic projects in India? इसकी पूरी साइंस से जितनी भी ट्रिक्स रहती हैं ना, लाइक गोवा है, गोवा इज़ ए नाउन, इट कैन बी रिप्लेस्ड बाय सम अदर स्टेट, है ना. यू शुड थिंक ऑफ सम अदर स्टेट व्हेन अ स्टेट और अ डायरेक्ट प्रोनाउन और सॉरी डायरेक्ट नाउन इज गिवन देयर इन द क्वेश्चन. तो दीज आर सम ट्रिक्स विच द वेटरन्स हैव mastered, on basis of which they continuously clear the prelims with flying colors, and we would discuss about them in some other video. UN clause, ठीक है, ये 200 nautical miles, ship of all these states, ये static है UN clause. सेंकाकू आइलैंड जो है चाइना जापान के बीच में एटलस पे अलग ही दिख जाते हैं, दिस इज़ करंट, दिस इज़ स्टैटिक, एंड दिस इज़ द PYQ रिपीटेड है ये वाला क्वेश्चन, है ना. इंडियन लॉस अबाउट द वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन, लॉजिक से हो जाएगा ये, और आपकी बुक में भी दिया हुआ है, PMFIS वगैरह में, पूरा नहीं दिया बट दिया हुआ है. फंगी और फंजाई वॉट एवर इट इज़ कॉल्ड आर वेल कल्टिवेटर्स, ये आपका कहीं पर नहीं मिलेगा, करंट अफेयर्स में भी नहीं मिलेगा. साइट ऑफ द अशोकास स्टैटिक है. ये पूरे जो हैं क्वेश्चंस आर फ्रॉम हिस्ट्री, और हिस्ट्री से तो क्या ही चीज़ें पूछेंगे. अब आप ये पूछोगे कि ये जो है अपना करंट अफेयर से क्वेश्चन आया है, सोमनाथ टेम्पल इज़ वन ऑफ द ज्योतिर्लिंग श्राइन्स. अगर आपने स्टैटिक की वो आर्ट एंड कल्चर की बुक पढ़ी है अपनी, नितिन सांगवान आई गेस, तो उसमें एक जो इम्पोर्टेंट मंदिर हैं और इम्पोर्टेंट ज्योतिर्लिंगा हैं, अपने शिव जी के मंदिर हैं, उनका ऑलरेडी डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया हुआ है, राइट. अलबरूनी वॉज अ फेमस पर्सनैलिटी, उसके बारे में पढ़ते हैं हम, तो देखने को मिलता है हमें कि हाँ भाई उसने बोला हुआ, नहीं ये गलत है, ये मैंने गलत बोला. इसे इस लॉजिक से सॉल्व किया जाता कि अलबरूनी ने क्या क्या बोला होगा. ये बोलना कि अलबरूनी ने इस पर नहीं बोला, ये बहुत ही कठिन होगा, है ना. तो जनरली इस मेंटालिटी से, अप्रोच से, एटीट्यूड से, माइंडसेट से हम इस स्टेटमेंट को सही मान सकते हैं. ये सब लॉजिक्स हैं गाइज. आप जितना टाइम इनमें देते हो ना, ये जो मैं स्क्रॉल कर रहा हूँ, है ना, उतना टाइम यदि आपने ये ट्रिक्स मास्टर करने में दे दी ना, उतना इन्वेस्टमेंट यदि आपने इधर कर दिया पैसों में और टाइम में, मज़ा आ जाएगा. क्योंकि एक तो आप अपना स्टैटिक अच्छा कर लोगे, जो मैंने आपको बताई दिया कि स्टैटिक अच्छा करना है आपको, राइट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट व्हाट मैटर्स इन दी प्रीलिम्स इज़ द ट्रिक्स एंड टिप्स आर दी इंट्यूशन, गट फीलिंग, और जो तुक्काबाजी, गैसगिरी, वो आपके पास है या नहीं, और वो लॉजिक के बेसिस पर आती है ना. तो लॉजिक कैसे वर्क करता है, ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी के बेसिस पे करता है. यदि हम पेपर सेटर की साइकोलॉजी समझ जाएं, ट्रेंड एनालिसिस करके, यदि हम जो है क्वेश्चन को कैसे फ्रेम किया जाता है, गलत क्वेश्चंस को, गलत स्टेटमेंट्स को कैसे फ्रेम किया जा सकता है, वो सब समझ जाए, तो उसके बेसिस पर जो है हम ये ट्रिक्स मास्टर कर सकते हैं, ठीक है. प्राण प्रतिष्ठा ऑफ सोमनाथ टेम्पल वॉज डन बाय प्रेसिडेंट एस राधाकृष्णन, है ना. अब आपको मालूम है कि 2 सही है, तो 2 तो A सही होगा, B सही होगा, D सही होगा, है ना. सोमनाथ टेम्पल इज़ वन ऑफ द ज्योतिर्लिंगा श्राइन्स, तो ये भी जनरली हमें मालूम है कि हाँ भाई सोमनाथ एक ज्योतिर्लिंगा है, तो ये A सही होगा आपका. तो फिर अब A सही हो सकता है या D सही हो सकता है, A या D में से आपका कोई सा आंसर होगा, है ना. सो जब भी 3 स्टेटमेंट्स दिए हो तो बहुत कम चांसेस रहते हैं कि तीनों के तीनों सही हों. यदि कोई बंदा 3 स्टेटमेंट दे रहा है तो वो तीनों को ही सही क्यों करेगा भाई, उसमें थोड़ी सी तो वो चुल होगी ना कि यार एक आध को तो गलत कर ही देता हूँ, है ना. तो तीसरा वाला गलत हो सकता है. क्यों गलत हो सकता है, क्योंकि उसमें एक नाउन है अपना, प्रेसिडेंट एस राधाकृष्णन, विच कैन बी ईजिली रिप्लेस्ड बाय एनी अदर नेम. मतलब बाई के आगे कुछ और सही हो सकता था विच कैन बी ईजिली रिप्लेस्ड बाय एनी अदर नेम, तो उसकी जगह उठा के प्रेसिडेंट एस राधाकृष्णन रख दिया, कुछ दूसरा प्रेसिडेंट भी हो सकता है, राइट। आई गेस इट वॉज मोदी देयर और समबडी एल्स, है ना। तो ये न्यूज़ में था, यदि आपने पढ़ा हो, यदि आपने जो है एक फ़ोटो ही देखी हो न्यूज़पेपर में 15 मिनट के ग्लैंस में, तो भी आपका काम बन जाता है। यदि आपने बिल्कुल भी न्यूज़पेपर नहीं पढ़ा, स्टिल आपका काम बन जाता है, बट स्टिल आई वुड पुट दिस इन द कैटेगरी ऑफ करंट अफेयर्स, है ना। अभी मैंने आपको बस इसका लॉजिक बता दिया कि इसका लॉजिक क्या है। इफ़ यू वांट वी कैन मेक अ सेपरेट अ डेडिकेटेड वीडियो ऑन दी लॉजिक्स, जितने भी लॉजिक्स हैं, व्हाट साइंटिफिकली आई हैव जॉटेड देम डाउन, नोटेड देम डाउन इन अ सेपरेट book. I can share with you all guys there. B cell T cell is completely static question, and we have got the question on nanoparticles. Nanotechnology is in the syllabus और static में माना जाता है ये साइंस एंड टेक के अंदर। एंड एसिड रेन तो अपना एनवायरनमेंट से कम्प्लीटली स्टैटिक है। डीएनए बार कोडिंग कैन बी टूल, ये अभी नई टेक्नोलॉजी है, तो इसके लिए हम करंट में मानेंगे। बट ये एसएनटी, जो जितने भी एसएनटी से क्वेश्चंस रहते हैं ना, वो सब स्टैटिक में ही काउंट करने चाहिए, क्योंकि एसएनटी में है ना, स्टैटिक में हम ये तो पढ़ते नहीं हैं कि यार मेटल्स कौन कौन से हैं, उनका जो है कॉन्फ़िगरेशन क्या है ना, जो केमिस्ट्री में होता है या फिज़िक्स में या बायोलॉजी में। एक दो अपने एब्रेशंस हैं, एक्सेप्शंस हैं, एक दो बार प्लांट सेल एनिमल सेल के ऊपर पूछ लिया, बट ब्रॉडली यूपीएससी करंट अफेयर्स ही पूछता है साइंस एंड टेक में, बट स्टिल। अब हम काउंट कर लेते हैं कितना हुआ, है ना। 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 है ना। लिबरली काउंट करने पर हमने पाया कि 19 क्वेश्चंस हैं विच आर फ्रॉम दी करंट अफेयर्स, है ना। अब उसमें 19 में से भी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग इज़ दैट 5 से 8 क्वेश्चंस ऐसे रहेंगे जो बंदे ने, जिसने करंट अफेयर्स पढ़ा होगा, उसे 10 से ज़्यादा नहीं आएंगे, है ना। फोमो में मत रहिए इफ़ यू आर नॉट रीडिंग द करंट अफेयर्स। अमेजिंग थिंग इज़ दैट जिसने करंट अफेयर्स नहीं पढ़ा होगा, यदि उसका इंट्यूशन गट फीलिंग अच्छा है, यदि उसने जो है प्रैक्टिस कर रखी क्वेश्चन पेपर सॉल्व करने की, लाइक PYQs सॉल्व किए हुए हैं, एंड अगेन जो अपने ट्रस्टेड इस्टेब्लिश्ड कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स लाइक विजन जो क्वेश्चन बनाते हैं वो उसने सॉल्व किए हुए हैं, ट्रिक्स मालूम चल गई हैं उसे, तुक्काबाजी आ गई है, तो वो आराम से 5 से 8 क्वेश्चन अपने बना लेगा, आराम से बना लेगा, है ना। फिर पूरा पेपर तो अटैम्प्ट करना भी नहीं रहता, कुछ तो छोड़ना ही पड़ेगा, राइट। तो 5-6 क्वेश्चन आप छोड़ भी सकते हैं। कुल मिला के बात ये, जो आप इधर देख रहे हैं, है ना, या आप जो पढ़ रहे हैं, इधर यू आर लिसनिंग टू इट और यू आर रीडिंग इट विद योर ओन आइज़, आपको ये याद नहीं रहने वाला कब D-Day पर, आपके प्रीलिम्स के दिन में, है ना। और तब तो और भी याद नहीं रहेगा यदि वो बिदू बिदू कहने वाला जैसे क्वेश्चन पूछा ना, इतना मेटिकुलसली क्वेश्चन पूछेगा, तो आपको मालूम तो चलेगा कि इधर डिस्प्यूट हो रहा है, लेकिन आपको उतनी डिटेल में मालूम नहीं चलेगा जितनी डिटेल में ये पूछ रहा है, राइट। क्वेश्चन अल्टीमेटली आपका जो है लॉजिक के बेसिस पर ही सॉल्व होगा, जैसे ये पॉलीथिलीन टेराफ्थलेट, है ना, कैन नॉट स्टोर एनी लॉजिकल अल्कोहलिक बिवरेज, हटाओ भाई, कैन बी यूज टू एनी आ गया, नेगेटिव वर्ड है, हटाओ। तो ये वाला लॉजिक कुछ लोग कहेंगे कि यार ये गलत है, बट दिस वर्क्स, द लॉजिक वर्क्स मैनी टाइम्स। This was the crux. The sole purpose of making this video was to stop the people from getting deviated, misguided by the vested interests out there in the market, to open their eyes, to share the experience with them, है ना। share जो रियल रियलिटी है, इट रिमेन्स दैट कि आपका जो है करंट अफेयर्स है शुड नॉट बी गिवन मच वेटेज, रादर फोकस ऑन योर स्टैटिक, रिवाइज इट मल्टीपल टाइम्स, मेक नोट्स आउट ऑफ इट, and I hope that you will get the success. If you want video on tricks, tips, ये सब पे, because I have done extensive research on it and most of the times मेरे जो तुक्के रहते हैं वो सही जाते हैं, that's the reason like I was scoring above 110 marks in prelims 2023 and I was very happy. I was smiling in the center, while on the other hand लोगों के पसीने छूट गए थे, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस सिंपल रीज़न कि अपन को लॉजिक आता था और उस पर भरोसा था. ऑफकोर्स अनदर मेजर पॉइंट वॉज टू know how to remain calm and composed in the adverse situation, right? So if you want guys videos on the trips tricks वो सब है ना, what I feel is कि 1 घंटा यदि आप वो ट्रिप्स ट्रिक्स वगैरह देखोगे और उसके बेसिस पर एनालिसिस करोगे rather than watching the current affairs, then it would be much more beneficial to you, है ना. I'm not saying that completely avoid the current affairs. What I'm basically saying that if somebody else is doing the job for you, then why to do it yourself, है ना. मतलब जैसे रोटी बनाना रहता है ना, somebody has made the chapati for you and is serving you the cooked chapati, then why to take the flour for क्या होता है वो, and make the dough and prepare the discs yourself, है ना. So the logic remains the same. The coaching institutes, for example, vision is one which is trusted, you can go with it. और उसमें भी जो है prudently जाना रहता है, ऐसा नहीं कि back to end everything जो है line by line should be read, should be learnt. No, very few important things are there which are to be selectively taken out and read for the prelims. Majorly again the bottom line remains that कुछ भी हो जाए पेपर में, कुछ भी चेंजेस आ जाएँ, स्टैटिक के जो 50 से 60 क्वेश्चन आते हैं फ्रॉम दी सेलेक्टेड थीम्स, वो तो आने ही हैं, वो कहीं नहीं जाएंगे. सो प्रिपेयर देम वेल, डू नॉट कमिट द सिली मिस्टेक, रिजर्व योर टाइम फॉर प्रिपेयरिंग देम. विद दिस